This is your Matica S3200 Card Printer. The S3200 Card Printer comes complete with a card hopper that can hold up to 100 cards, a card eject bin which has a capacity of around 65 to 70 cards, a tray at the top which is great for storing your card handling gloves as well as your card cleaning cards. This is not a locked storage compartment, so anything that does not need to be kept secure. It has an operation panel and adjacent operational buttons. The printer front has a lock as well as the printer side has a lock which locks the hopper into place. We have a power button in the bottom right-hand corner, which we're going to use now. And when starting your business day, one of the first things that we recommend is that you power on your printer. You do need to power your printer off at the end of the business day to allow the heat roller, which adheres the card supply, the retransfer film onto your card supply and allows that enough time to reach its temperature for that application. Now our printer is booting up. You can see we've illuminated. You will see status messages that display in red, yellow, or green depending upon the state. Red, of course, requiring attention. Yellow simply indicating that there is something that we should take a look at. It could just be that the printer is warming up or booting up or starting its day. Green will be when the printer has reached the heated state and has completed all of its self-tests and is ready to start its business day. Now, when the printer is initializing, which it will do upon boot up and upon manual execution of a reset and initialize command, it runs a self-test of the ribbon, the film, the card supply, the printer track, ensuring that the operation of the printer is in a workable state. If there is a card found in the printer track, it will attempt to eject the card to the lowest eject location, which could be your card hopper location, or it could be your eject bin. Now, if you have a card hopper on the printer, of course, the card will not be able to exit out into the card hopper. There is a reject bin below the card hopper in that circumstance when a card fails, where a card will drop into the reject bin. At the end of your business day, when you're counting your card supply, you will also want to remove and count the rejected cards and include those in your inventory counts to ensure accuracy and balancing. I've already gone into Cards on the Spot and I've completed my opening branch checklist. I'm ready to come over to the printer to load my card supply into the printer. I've counted my card supply in dual custody using my white gloves, of course, as I'm handling my cards. I want to ensure that I'm not getting any oils from my hands or fingerprints onto the card, which could interfere with the image applying to the card. Anywhere where an image cannot be applied or properly adhered to the card color will show through. In this case, our cards are white. We would see white smudges or white splotches, white dots, wherever the printer is not able to adhere the card image onto the card supply. So we've counted our cards. As we're counting as well, it's always a good idea to separate your cards out. When the cards are packaged at the printers, they have a tendency to have some static cling between the cards. If the cards are not able to be separated when rolled out of the card hopper for insertion into the printer, if the static is holding them together, it can cause feed problems within the printer. So we have our cards. We've counted these in dual custody. We've completed our opening branch checklist in dual custody, and we're coming over to the card printer within the 60-second timeout that is allowed by default to open the card hopper. We're going to lift the weight that is inside the card hopper up. We're inserting our cards with the mag stripe facing up and out the edge of the card, the flat edge of the weight, comes in contact with the card supply. This ensures that there is enough weight on the cards so that when the roller comes in contact with the bottom card in the stack, it has enough weight that it's able to firmly contact that card and roll it out of the cartridge into the printer. So we'll insert our card cartridge back onto the printer. Now there is a lock at the top. I'm going to flip the lock back into the locked position. After 60 seconds, and if it has been longer than 60 seconds, that's fine. But after 60 seconds, the card printer will go back into a locked state. So once we put our card hopper back onto the printer, the locking pin will engage and we will not be able to remove our card hopper. The printer door, inside here, I want to show you a few things. And we're getting a door open message. The tone will disappear in just a minute. Inside the card printer, we have in the upper right hand corner a cleaning roller. This roller, cards pass through this roller in between the two rollers. This roller uses a sticky process to remove any dust or debris that might be on the cards before the cards enter the printer for printing. We recommend that you remove this once a week. There is a reminder that shows up in the Cards on the Spot software. Rinse this in cool running water. You can use your finger to remove any dust or debris off of the rollers. Leave it out overnight to dry and before inserting it back into your card printer. Now when you insert that back into your card printer, you'll want to ensure that it does lock all the way in place so it clicks somewhat when you insert that in there. You could insert this and close the door and not have it entirely in here. You'll get some feed jams if you don't have that fully inserted into the card printer. To the left of the cleaning roller is what we call a turnover shaft. This is what the cards will pass through, and the cards are flipped over so that the printer can print the front and the back of the card. The card shaft is the only item within the printer that if you have had a card jam or any kind of turnover errors, you will need to ensure that this is in a homed position. Now, you can home that by removing the roller. You can use your index finger to turn the turnover. You will feel about a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square knob that sticks out on the front edge of that turnover. That little square should be placed at 6 o'clock. We can check position of that by using our jog connectors. These jog connectors have a D connector on the back of them. On one of the triangular points is a line. You could place this on the D connector that is to the right of this label that indicates do not turn this black shaft forcibly at card jam, to turn the D connector, and it would allow you to put enough force on the shaft that if a card were partially within the turnover, you could actually turn and have that card create damage inside the printer, which could be costly to repair. So you don't want to use the D connector if you're having any force, any kind of resistance at all. You do not want to turn that D connector that's adjacent to the turnover with the dial. We're going to use the dial and confirm that our line is at 3 o'clock. When we have the line at 3 o'clock, our connector is in the correct position. So we'll remove that. We'll put this back in its storage location in the bottom right. Notice we also have one in the bottom left. And we can use the two connectors to connect to our cleaning roller. It has one D connector on it, and to the left of the turnover is another D connector. This is useful if you have a card that has gotten jammed inside the printer. You can remove your ink ribbon as well as your retransfer film to get better access to the inside of the printer, and you can use these connectors to turn simultaneously a card through the track and out into the eject bin. Sometimes it's closer and quicker to remove the card hopper and turn clockwise to send a card out through the card entrance. When you're done and you've retrieved your card, ensure that you place the connectors back in their storage locations. Replace your cards, replace your ribbon and film, and you are ready for business. Now, before I put the ribbon and the film back in the card printer, I want to show you a couple of things. When you run out of supplies for the ribbon or the retransfer film, there is a label on the back of both of these bobbins that indicates orientation and how the media should flow on the spool, from the feed spool to the take-up spool, how it should be loaded so that you have a guide. Now, simulating loading the retransfer film, let's assume we've run out of retransfer film. We have our spool. We've opened up a new box of retransfer film. The easiest method is to ensure that the retransfer film, you have the feed spool in your left hand, the take-up spool in your right hand. You have the retransfer film rolling off the bottom edge of both of these items. Wrap around the 3 center spools and back onto your feed and your take-up. Now, ensure that you press down firmly on both your feed spool and your take-up spool to ensure that they're locked into position. Take up the slack on your take-up spool. You want to ensure that you have a tight wrap around the 3 center spindles. It does not matter where you stop or what position you're at. You can check to confirm that you have the spools loaded on there firmly and securely. If you turn them upside down, they should not fall off. They should stay on. Locate your lever, which is used to remove the spool. That should be located at the top. And insert your cartridge back into the printer, listening for that click to confirm that you've firmly loaded that back into the printer. Now, similar thing with the ink ribbon. I've gotten a little bit of slack on this ink ribbon now that I've taken it out, so I'm going to tighten that up a bit. But the dim for loading this is the same as the retransfer film. There is a label or a diagram on the bottom side of the spooler. And same process, we want to ensure that everything is on there nice and tight. We've taken up our slack, our button that releases the spool from the printer is located at the top, and we will insert that back into the printer and ensure that it firmly clicks back into place. Now we have on the door an RFID reader, which connects with our YCMK color ribbon and confirms that it is a Matica product. You do need to ensure that you've purchased Matica products. Those will work with your card printer and not cause any damage. We'll close our door. We have a door open error that's now showing on our card printer. So anytime we have an error, whether it be a door open, a card jam, we'll need to run through a reset and initialization process to clear the error. I'm going to go ahead and start that. Now, reset is highlighted and adjacent to our far left button. We'll start by pressing reset. We're now prompted to initialize, and we can enter that by pressing the center button. So far left to reset, center to. So that process is running through. I want to point out our locks on the card printer door. There is also a lock on the right side of the printer. There are labels which indicate the lock position. Now, we recommend that you, once your printer has been set up, that you do not use the keys to unlock the printer, simply because there is no way to control dual custody. The Locks should always be set, though, if you have had to use, if for instance you've had a power outage and you need to remove your card supply at the end of the business day, the power is still out, you're unable to complete a dual custody unlock of the printer, you can use the key under dual control and unlock the card hopper to your card supply from the card printer, count that card supply, and lock that away in the vault at the end of the day. When you do use that key, ensure that you allow the lock to fall back into a locked state, and note that it is spring loaded. It will attempt to fall back into the locked position. You can remove the key when it's in the unlocked position. If you do that, the Cards on the Spot software is not going to be able to control the printer through the dual control unlocks. So if you have a problem where the printer is not unlocking and you have used the keys recently, ensure that you insert the key into the printer and turn the lock into the lock position. There is also a filter on the bottom of the printer that can be accessed by simply pulling down. This foam filter should be removed as well when removing the cleaning roller, and rinsed in cool running water and left to dry over the weekend before being inserted back into the printer. That concludes today's demonstration. Thank you.